StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई affordable.
Dear students, welcome to our next case study, which is related to ethical dilemmas and emotional intelligence in the organization. Today, one of the most important quality, in addition to the other qualities, of course, a lot of values, which is very important to be an effective civil servant. But today, in this present era, one of the important quality which will make someone an effective civil servant is also the need for having an emotional intelligence. So, what exactly is emotional intelligence? Is the ability of an individual to understand and to evaluate his own feelings. Not only understanding and evaluating his own feelings, but also capable of understanding others and what they are going through. Only when you know that, you will be in a position to make decisions effectively. So, especially when you are in leadership roles and students who are preparing for civil service, and once they clear the civil service, of course, they will be put up in the leadership roles. So, one important quality that you have to possess is being emotionally intelligent. And then, of course, we have seen a number of case studies in the government service. You will always come across various ethical dilemmas, whether to do or not to do certain things. What could be the right thing to do under a present circumstances? You could come across multiple options. So, as a civil servant, you are definitely going to come across different situations where you will be put up in an ethical dilemma. So, UPSC is trying to assess that you as a civil servant will be able to make the right choice from the legal point of view, from the ethical point of view, and that is why the case study approach has been brought in. So, today in our series, we are there to see our next case study in the series of discussion. This would be case study number 17 and an important case study which has been asked in UPSC examination 2023. This is Babu Gunashekaran. I have secured an IAS rank in civil service examination 2016. So, we will move with this particular case study. We will try to understand as to what is the ethical dilemma in this case and what is the relevance of being emotionally intelligent as a civil servant. Now, the case is all about that you have to put yourself in this position. You are appointed as an additional director general in the public works department, which is in fact involved in an important project. And who is heading this particular project? The chief architect of the department, who is directly reporting to you, is heading this particular project. The chief architect is in fact passionately working in this particular project because he has got only 6 months to retire, and he knows that if he completes this particular project well, probably his name will be there for a long period of time. He will be remembered and he can leave a legacy, and hence he is passionately working and he is also very experienced. And at the same time, in the department, a new senior architect is also recruited in the name of Seema. So, now who is responsible for this particular project? It is the senior architect, the chief architect, of course, who is going to retire, but Seema is also recently added and she can also contribute. Seema has a very good reputation in terms of her previous work, and she has also completed her degree from a very reputed institution. She has completed her architecture from the Manchester School of Architecture in UK, which is one of the most reputed, as per the case study, a reputed college for architecture. And Seema, as soon as she joins, she is also trying to give important suggestions. You are also aware of these suggestions, that is the additional director general is also aware of these suggestions. That the suggestions that she has given has two benefits. One is it can reduce the cost of the project, and it also help in completing the projects on time. So, when all these suggestions were given by Seema, the chief engineer, the chief architect of the department was not happy about this. So, he is afraid that it might be possible that Seema might take away all the limelight of this particular project, which he is not happy about, because he is going to retire and he wanted his name to be associated with this particular project. And because under such a circumstances, the chief engineer, the chief architect has not left any stone unturned in harassing Seema and also in disrespecting Seema in front of others. And this continuous incident of harassment and disrespect to Seema has resulted in loss of her own self-confidence. Not only she has lost the self-confidence over a period of time, but she is also contemplating, she is also thinking of resigning, which also come to know. You as a additional director general of the public works department, you come to know as to what is happening, what Seema is going through. Now, this is exactly what is happening. And under such a circumstances, you will have to take some actions. There are certain directives that is given in this particular case study. Now think about, without going to the directives, so think about this particular situation. So you are the having a leadership role. You understand that the chief engineer is dedicated, the chief architect is dedicated, but at the same time, Seema is also a very talented engineer. She is also a very talented chief architect, and her suggestions are good enough. Just because the chief architect is not happy with the suggestions which is given by Seema, he is trying to harass Seema. That is also true, and that is also causing a lot of mental problems to Seema, and she is also thinking of resigning, which could be a loss to the organization, because she is a very good talent and you cannot afford to lose such talent. But at the same time, you wanted to complete this project also on time. If you take action against the chief architect, that it can affect the progress of the project, which should also be completed. So under such a circumstances, how are you going to tackle this? It requires a lot of emotional intelligence on your part to deal with this particular situation. And also at the same time, you will be in an ethical dilemma whether to take action against the chief architect or not. So these are all the lot of ethical issues that is involved in this particular case. So let us try to understand under the present circumstances what is the directive that is given in this particular case study. So before we understand the directives which is given in the case study, a small announcement from StudyIQ. So here you can understand, here you can see StudyIQ has launched its prelims to interview new foundation batches with different validity. The course may be purchased at 18 months validity, 30 months validity and 42 months validity. So depending upon the time that you wanted to prepare, you can opt for the different course, and they are available at different prices, available in different languages as per your requirement. So all these courses will commence on 10th of October 2023. All these courses would be an evening batch which starts at 6 p.m. If you want an additional discount on any of these courses, you can use my code BOBLIVE. Okay. So with that, quickly we will just move on to the directives that is given in this particular case. So what are the directives that is given in this particular case? One is, what are the ethical issues involved in the above case? So you as an additional Director General of the Public Works Department, so what kind of ethical issues do you see from whatever you observe in this particular case? Two, what are the options? So what are the options available to you in order to complete the project as well as to retain Seema in the organization? So you want to complete the project also, that means you cannot take much options against the chief engineer, but at the same time you also wanted to retain Seema in the organization. See, what would be your response to Seema's predicament? The problem that she is undergoing, okay, the harassment that she is undergoing. What measures would you institute to prevent such occurrences from happening in your organization? So what kind of preventive measures you would take so that such incidents does not occur in the future? So these are the various things that you have to answer in this particular case study. So before we go to that, what are the various subject matter overall this particular case is related? So to identify that will help you to solve the case study effectively. So ethical concerns and dilemmas in government service. Emotional intelligence, as I already said, you should be aware of the emotional intelligence. You should be in a position to understand what your employee is going through. You should be in a position to understand whether it is right or wrong. Emotional intelligence, and then of course attitude. So here the attitude of the chief engineer, the chief architect towards Seema doesn't seem to be right. So attitude also plays a very important role. So these are all the various important subject matters. And who are the stakeholders? Yourself as a chief, the chief engineer, Seema and the other staff members, general public, because this project, the government project, may be relevant to the general public. So hence the project has to be completed on time. The government is a major stakeholder because they are the one who is supposed to complete this particular project. So all these things has to be kept in your mind in the decisions that you are going to take. So directive 1. What are the ethical issues involved in the above case? So first and foremost is the harassment that Seema is undergoing. You as a higher official, you cannot be a mute spectator to one of your colleague, that to a female employee undergoing a harassment, which is a classic violation of the law of the land. There is a Sexual Harassment Act. Sexual Harassment Act is a right implied under Article 21 of the Constitution. It's a fundamental right. and hence you are in a leadership role. You are to ensure nobody is harassed, everybody is free to work, and that is when the productivity of the organization can improve. It is a basic human right as well as a fundamental right in our country, and hence the harassment that she is undergoing is a very ethical concern. If it is also legal concern, but of course yes, it is a ethically concerning you as an officer, so you will have to act against that, you will have to take care of that. 2, dilemma to act against the chief engineer versus the completion of project. So you know that whatever is happening is wrong, definitely it is not right, but you also understand that the chief engineer's intention is not just to harass Seema, but he is feeling insecure about the entire project. He is insecure that the limelight might be taken by Seema, and because of all these insecurity of which he is doing it. So one thing that you can do is you can brief the chief engineer about what is happening. You can take Seema into confidence as well, and at the same time you can act against the chief engineer if he is not listening. But if you act against the chief engineer or the chief architect, it can affect the completion of the project. So what to do in such a circumstances? So that's a classic ethical dilemma which you are going through. So that is again an ethical issue, because on the one hand you wanted to complete the project, on the other hand for which you are not able to take action against this engineer, but you wanted to do, you know that it is not a right thing, but you are not able to do anything. So that is an ethical concern here. Congenial work culture and environment. So it is your responsibility to ensure an work environment which is pleasant enough for everybody to work. Are you doing that? What is preventing you from doing it? That is again an ethical concern in this particular case. So now come to the next directive that is given in the question. So what are the options available to you in order to complete the project as well as to retain Seema in the organization? So what kind of step that you can take so that you can have both the interest. On the one hand, you wanted to protect Seema from going through any mental trauma and harassment, but at the same time you also wanted to complete the project. So that is where your leadership lies. You take care of the interest of the organization, you take care of the interest of your employees as well. So how are you going to do that? So I am considering few options, but students, you don't have to restrict to these options. You can look into the other options. You can put that in the comment box as well. So suppose if you are the additional Director General of the Public Works Department and similar incident is happening against you or happening in your organization, so probably how would you deal with this? But you'll have to take care of two things. One, you wanted to protect the interest of Seema, and at the same time you wanted to protect that the project does not get delayed. So both the things has to be taken into account. And how do you deal with this issue? So first option that can be done is have a discussion with Seema personally. So you call Seema, probably you have a cup of coffee or you professionally call Seema, letting her know that the management is aware of her skills and her contributions in very important, and that not to take things happening seriously, as a chief architect will retire in 6 months. So you call upon Seema and tell Seema that don't take things seriously, I am aware of what is happening, but we cannot do much because we wanted to complete this particular project, and that is why we are not taking any action against the chief engineer or the chief architect, because if we do so, then it can impact the project, and the project is very important for the government, and hence don't worry, we are behind you, we will help you in all the way, don't take things seriously. And anyways, the chief engineer will retire in 6 months, then you will have a lot of responsibility, you will have complete freedom. So this is one way, at least you are trying to assure Seema that the management is aware and the management is there to protect her. Do not take things seriously, even if the chief architect is harassing her or disrespecting her. So this is one way, but is it completely right? Can you allow for such things to happen and tell Seema that we are behind you, don't worry about it? So I don't think this would be a very good option, but yes, this is one way, probably you can do that, but it is not a good option. It is neither a very bad option nor it is a completely right option, but it is something that can help Seema momentarily. Second option is have a discussion with Seema personally, as well as have an open communication with both Seema and the chief engineer, chief architect. So you can personally talk with Seema, and at the same time you can call upon both Seema and the chief architect as well. Appreciating and recognizing the contribution to the department and the project. So you can say, as the Director General, Additional Director General, you can say that yes, the chief architect has really has contributed much to the organization, and that is true also for the department. He has worked for a long period of time, and so is Seema. Seema, although she is new, her ideas are also equally good enough, and at the same time also hinting the chief architect that he has to mend his present attitude, as it may not be appreciated and can also seen as a sexual harassment. So, while you can appreciate both the people, at least personally I would say that as a person who is in the leadership role, he has to give a hint to the chief architect that yes, we appreciate your work, no doubt you have done an extremely good job, but we also understand that whatever is going through, if you unnecessarily disrespect or unnecessarily harass, and that is not a good thing for a long period of time, which can also be seen as an act of sexual harassment, and there are provisions against which we can act. So, you do not have to be very harsh about it, but the chief architect should at least get an impression that you are aware of what is happening. Even if he gets a hint as to or you are aware of what is happening, there is a possibility that he can mend his ways. So, as a person who is in the leadership role, you should always make yourself very clear and give a picture to your subordinates that you are aware of what is happening, because the moment you make sure that you are aware of, the moment you clear the air and you give an impression that you are aware of what is happening, that itself can clear most of the problems in the organization. So, this is another thing that he can do without compromising the interest of both the people. So, you are personally assuring Seema and you are also acting against in a very minor manner, although. So, in this way the interest of both the organization and the interest of Seema can be protected. Now, third thing is, what would be your response to Seema's predicament, the problem that she is undergoing? What measures would you institute to prevent such occurrences from happening in the organization? So, what will you do for Seema and in general from such things happening in the organization? So, first is open communication to the chief architect, that he does not feel insecure about his contribution. So, first you will have to call upon the chief architect and take him into confidence, telling him that we are completely aware of your contribution and you have done a lot of things for the organization and we really appreciate your good work. So that he is feeling secure, he is not feeling that Seema will take away the limelight. And then open communication to Seema about the same as well. You talk to Seema also and then you communicate same thing to Seema also. We are aware of your contribution and your potential, that we are looking forward for your contribution in the future, and that the chief engineer is going to retire, do not worry about it. And also at the same time inform to the chief engineer that whatever happening with Seema, the way that he is reacting or whatever the way he is disrespecting Seema is very unfortunate, and Seema does not deserve such a treatment. Okay, so you will have to communicate that with both of the people. And at the same time, as I already said, you can also hint to the chief engineer that if things are going beyond the control, probably some action may have to be initiated. So, what are the measures that you can take? In general, awareness about the policies and laws on sexual harassment. So, it is your responsibility to make awareness about the various laws, especially related to sexual harassment, which is a very serious concern if it is happening in the organization. You can impart training programs, you can devise training modules, effective grievance redressal mechanism. So, you can also put in place the grievance redressal mechanisms, and of course, regularly there has to be open communication and briefing with your subordinates, so that they also understand what they are supposed to do, and they also understand as to, in case of violation of any of these things, where to approach, and so that they will also be in your confidence and they also feel secure enough. Okay. So, these things can go a long way in protecting such issues in any organization. So, with that we are coming to the end of this particular case study. So, if you have any queries about the case study, you can reach out to me in my Telegram channel Babu Gunashekaran 337. Thank you very much for watching this particular video. All the very best. God bless.
StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।